And one of the things I want to talk about is to go from the styles of evaluation into some more specifics with some more tools for our toolbox, is I want to talk about vocal variety. And so let me talk a little bit about vocals. There are really 4 areas that you can focus on as an evaluator. Your volume was brought up before. The rate. How fast are they speaking? Or how slow? The pitch. That modulation in the voice, like a singer, you know there's pitch changes, but a speaker too. There's ups and downs. If I asked Matthew a question, but I kept my pitch exactly the same, would he even know I asked a question? No, questions have a at the end. What do you think, Patrick? A little right? Right? That's a question. Pitch changes. You can watch for that. Listen for it, excuse me. And the pause. We talk about the ums and the ahs and replacing them with a pause, but pauses can be so wonderfully powerful. What does a comedian do when he delivers the punchline? Pauses. Lets the audience laugh. What if I have a profound statement? Something I want you to think about. Maybe I'll add a pause. The pauses can be just as effective. I was watching, anybody remember the old Carol Burnett show?
Yeah.
Remember? Tim Conway was on there, and the guy was the funniest guy on the planet. I went back and watched some old reruns a few weeks ago, and he would get out there, and he could make an audience laugh, along with his co-stars, without saying a word. The look, the smile, whatever magic he had, he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to say anything. He's a master at that. So Sarah, I gave you a little heads up I want to ask you, because you are a singer.
Yeah.
And my daughter is in vocal and piano lessons, and her teacher is a guy who's sung at the Carnegie Hall. He sang with Robert Shaw, if you're familiar with that kind of music. Famous guy. And anyway, he talks a lot about things like enunciation and how it's different when you're speaking, and also where you breathe from. Do you want to spend just a minute and tell us some of the things you know as a singer that we can learn from here?
I would be happy to. As he was saying, with vocal variety and such, a lot of it depends on proper support, usually from your diaphragm. Singing, you have to hold it in very, very well to extend. One of the things they tell you to do is to sing to the back of the room. That way your voice will fill up the entire room. But also they say the ups and downs, you're still using the same control. Sometimes it takes more control to do it softly. Enunciation is very important because now you have a platform, now you have people looking at you, they're listening, but are they hearing what you're saying? And you can say, hey, how are you doing, man? Yeah, great. Yeah. What? What was that one say? Hi, how are you? How are you doing? It is different in vocals when you're singing because you hold on to words longer.
Can I stop you, sir?
Yeah.
Do you hear the H's?
Mm-hmm.
And the difference in those two sentences, those H's, she enunciated that. Go ahead.
Very much so. You hold on to things a little bit longer when you're singing and speaking. It's a little bit different, where it's a little bit shorter, but you want to make sure that if you have something to say, that it's said clearly, well, and that everyone can hear it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. Good. Well said. Give her a hand. Those consonants are so important. If you can enunciate your consonants, you're going to be better understood. We don't talk from here in the same manner that we talk one-on-one. We use a different type of enunciation, and that's important. And you can pick up on that as an evaluator and listen for it while you're listening to a speaker. Are they running their words together? Blah, 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 or are they crisp and clear and easily understood. So that's the enunciation aspect of it. Yeah, Patrick.
One thing that I've noticed with people, speakers in particular, I used to do a lot of recording, and a lot of speakers, they think they're, just because they have a microphone on, they can talk like they're just sitting talking to somebody. They don't understand sound power, and that if there's nothing coming out of their mouth, you can't pick it up. And whether you're using a microphone or not, it's the same thing. To be able to project the voice, to have power coming out,
Yeah.
to make the sound.
Good sport.
Yeah. My daughter's vocal teacher, John Jake was his name, by the way. He talks about getting the gut out sometimes. You get that diaphragm. Ooh, yeah. Frank's back there patting his belly like that. Hey, I'm worried. Okay. Yeah, it is. You can stick that gut out and get more out. So, thank you both. I also want to mention one thing too. It bothers me when I talk about these four and maybe enunciation, that's it. But there's something else called timbre. And I'm going to throw this definition out. Sarah, if you've got a better definition, please to let me know. But it's a tricky thing, and I don't expect you to evaluate it, but I would expect that you at least know it's there. And the definition I have been told that I could understand the best was if a trumpet and a violin played the same note at the same volume and held it for the same length of time, the difference is timbre. Now, that's, if you will, an inverted definition. But that tells you why a trumpet and a violin can play at the same volume, the same pitch, no rate change, and be done at the same time, and yet they sound completely different. That is the definition I have understood. It's kind of a simplistic one, but it just lets you know that there's a lot more going on in a voice. And I think one of the things you can do, Sarah alluded to this, is you can form your mouth in different ways to create a different effect. If I have my mouth like open like that, I have a different sound that's going to come out. If I've got my mouth really closed, there's a different sound. Everything else stayed the same. Okay. So that's there and available for you to think about, learn about. The internet has this wonderful resource called Everything. You can learn everything online, and that's there for you.